Hey guys, Charles Damiano here from the Bruce Lee collection, and I have a special guest with me today, my friend Sifu Tony Santiago. I know a lot of you probably know him from Facebook. He has a really cool Facebook page, and I got to meet Tony about 10 years ago, and I'm honored to be here today with him, especially since we're in Hector Martinez's
crib
here, and he lent us his beautiful backdrop here so that we can do this interview here as we get to know Tony Santiago, because he's a huge Bruce Lee collector, a huge Bruce Lee fan. He's met all the first generation Bruce Lee students like Ted Wong, Dan Inosanto, Jerry Poteet. I'm gonna have him go over his background. We're gonna learn about how Bruce inspired Tony. It's gonna be a fun episode, so thank you guys for joining us, and I'm gonna start. And first I wanna say hi to you, man. Thank you for coming here today, and it's a pleasure
oh my God.
Interviewing you here
I'm
today.
Excited, and I'm grateful.
You're very welcome. Tony. So let's start from the beginning. I know, like myself, you're a huge Bruce Lee fan and collector, and it's funny, I asked you to bring a few collectibles with you, and Tony brought suitcases of collectibles, so we may need to save that for another episode, because I was overwhelmed when you started pulling out all the memorabilia that you had. But we'll go over that probably in a part 2 episode. Today I just want to get to know you and how you got started. So let's start from the beginning. So how did you first get introduced to Bruce Lee, and when, and where were you when you first got introduced to him?
I got to America in the 60s, and we flew from Puerto Rico to JFK. We got here on the propeller planes.
Okay.
The planes were, they had propellers. It was like 4 propellers, and it was a Pan Am plane. When we got here, I was just turning 8 years old, and the first thing I seen when I got to the apartment was the Green Hornet was on, and I didn't even know what that was.
Yeah.
And when I seen the Green Hornet and I seen this little Chinese guy come out and started just wailing.
He is back. The legendary Bruce Lee as Kato, the Green Hornet's trusted sidekick. Masked menace of the martial arts. If you're looking for action, he's the one to find it. Bruce Lee is Kato in the Green Hornet.
I was like, because I was always picked on as a kid, and I never fought back because I didn't know how to fight.
Right.
And I was always scared because I was either too light or too dark.
Got you.
And I grew up in that type of way in the 60s and 70s.
And where were you living at that time?
When I first got here, it was in Brooklyn.
Oh, you were in Brooklyn?
Yeah, and when I got to Brooklyn, all the white kids didn't like me because I was too dark.
Yep.
When I lived in Harlem, all the black kids didn't like me because I was too light. And then in the Bronx, you had to be in a gang, and I lived in the Bronx too, so I had to be in a gang in order to survive.
Hey man, you grew up in tough areas.
It was tough.
I know. And that was that late 60s, was that?
66, I think.
Okay, so that's just when the Green Hornet hit.
Right?
Yeah. I was 7 when it hit, and I was living on the Lower East Side on 12th Street and Avenue B. And it was a tough neighborhood back then, man. There was gangs everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere you went. The Bronx Theater, I used to go to the Bronx Theater, and the Savage Skulls used to be there a lot.
Yeah.
They would come out there with guns and all kinds of stuff, and it was...
So what captivated you about Bruce when you saw him on the Green Hornet? Why did he stand out? Like, I was big into Batman. Did you watch Batman at the time?
I did watch Batman.
And I thought that was cool because the colors and everything, but the Green Hornet...
But it was comical.
Yeah, it was comical.
But with the Green Hornet, it was more serious. And then to be able to see somebody just take people apart the way Bruce was doing, I said, this is what I want to learn. I want to learn how to be able to take care of myself and my family.
Yeah.
So I said, finally at the age of 13, they finally put me in a Taekwondo school.
Ah, okay.
And I started learning Taekwondo in the polo grounds where I was living because I had to learn how to fight because all the kids were picking on me, so I had to fight back. And I was like, wow.
So when you learned Taekwondo, did you already see now Bruce Lee in the movies? Did Big Boss already come out at that point? Oh, you didn't?
Big Boss hadn't come out yet.
So when you were studying Taekwondo, you really weren't even introduced to Bruce on the big screen yet at that point?
Not on the screen,
So you just went to Taekwondo just on your own, just from your introduction to him as Kato,
as Kato,
in the Green Hornet.
And it was fun because I was training with Henry Show's #1 student in the polo grounds. His name was Edward Rhodes, and that's where I started my training. By the time I became a teenager, that's when finally Bruce Lee came out.
Okay.
They called it the Fist of Fury.
Yeah, in the United States, yeah.
And when I went to that theater in the Bronx, it was right across the street from the Bronx Theater. It was around the corner. I paid for my ticket and I was excited because I said, I'm about to see the guy that I seen wearing the little mask, and this time he's going to be real. And he got so... And he got so real in that movie that I left there, I was throwing kicks and punches. I was like, oh man, I want to be like him, you know?
Yeah.
But it was an incredible moment to see Bruce Lee in a big screen like that. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, that was. I remember when that came out back in '73. I think I was probably like you, 14 years old, and I was blown away when I saw him.
Well, in '76, I joined the military.
Oh, okay.
And I went to Korea, and I was patrolling the demilitarized zone, but I joined the Taekwondo team to fight for the army.
Oh, okay.
So I met a lot of different black belts that I wish, if they're still around, I hope I can meet them again.
Yeah.
Hapkido masters, Goju.
Yep.
I was just, oh my God, I'm learning a whole bunch of stuff here. I even got to see how the North Koreans did their martial arts. Their martial arts was like a mix of Tai Chi and karate.
So martial arts was part of your lifestyle, I mean, growing up as a kid, even prior to Bruce. But then, did he have a big inspiration on you in studying?
Well, he inspired me to search within.
Okay.
To look at myself and search within, because I had a problem of identity, because growing up, like I said, I had a lot of people used to pick on me when I was a kid. So I didn't have an identity.
Yeah.
So with Bruce Lee, I found who I was.
Yeah, I hear you.
And from there, I always wanted to learn his martial arts, but I never got to meet him. And then at that point in time, they didn't have videos yet. They didn't have seminars. So I had to research through books and all that. And the first book I bought was the green one with James Lee. And I come to find out later that Bruce Lee was the one that wrote that book.
Yeah, you have you can show that.
Yeah, this was the first book I bought on Wing Chun, because I found out that Bruce Lee trained in Wing Chun first.
Yeah.
Well, but not first. He did Tai Chi with his father. But Wing Chun with Yip Man. And I said, oh my God, I gotta find something. And finally they came out with this book. But I found out that Bruce Lee was actually the author of this book.
Yeah, he co-authored it with James Lee at the time, right?
Well, he was the one that wrote the book. He gave it to James Lee because James Lee was dying of cancer.
Right.
So Bruce Lee wound up giving him this so he could put it out there and make him some money.
And you got one of the first
this
issues.
Was one
that
of the
was
first
1972 that one came out, right?
No, this one's 76.
Oh, 76.
Yeah. And it's signed by Ted Wong.
Wow, look at that. You even got Ted Wong to sign it.
Ted Wong was doing, I think he was doing some trapping with Ted Wong, and he signed it for me when I met Ted Wong.
Oh, that's a great book.
Ted Wong's a really cool dude, man.
Yeah, this is a fantastic book. I used this as a reference guide also when I studied Wing Chun back in the 70s as well. That was one of the first books that introduced Wing Chun to everyone, because nothing was out at the time.
I couldn't find until
I know.
One day I was looking through the paper and I found this ad that said New York Martial Arts Academy. And Sifu Neil Collins is the head instructor. And I said, and they teach Jeet Kune Do, but it was Jeet Kune Do concepts, that's what they called it. So I said, wow, I gotta find this place. So I found it, I joined the school.
That was in Queens, right? Yeah, I remember that.
And oh my God, it was like, I finally found Bruce Lee, and I could get to meet some of his students. And the first guy that I met was this guy.
Dan Inosanto.
Guru, yeah. And
now, did he sign that to you?
He signed it for me at a seminar that I went with Hector Martinez back about 3 or 4 years ago. When he seen me, he hadn't seen me in a long time, because I'd taken pictures of him and his wife, Paula. And when he signed it for me, I felt so privileged and so happy that he put down to Sifu Tony Santiago.
That's great, man. Well, he's showing you a lot of respect, man. That's fantastic, coming from Dan Inosanto.
Yeah,
legend, man.
Yeah, he is.
He's like in his 80s now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was teaching more of the concepts at the time, right?
Right. The concepts. The thing was that we had Kali, we used the sticks, we had knife fighting. Salim the French foot fighter from Sabat, came to the school. Got to meet him.
Yeah.
Richard Burtonson.
Yeah.
He used to
Jersey.
Yeah, he used to come by and train us with Kali. Then finally, I got to meet Larry Hartzell.
Yeah, he was great. Yeah.
When I met Larry, I said, Larry, what was it? Because it looked like Bruce Lee smacked himself in the chest when he hit Baker. Robert Baker. And he said, yeah, well, I said, can you show me that? And he said, yeah. So he said, come at me, throw a punch. So I threw the punch. He blocked me. He trapped me. Then he went, blah, 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 and he hit me with a pole pie.
Which is double palm strike, right? Yeah.
Pushed me back. And I was like, oh. So he did the same thing to Chuck Norris, I think.
Yeah, in Return of the Dragon. You really couldn't see because the camera wasn't facing. All you heard is bah, 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 bah. And you really didn't see what he was doing.
He was trapping him.
He was trapping.
But then he showed him that he was King Kong. He went,
yeah. Bam. Yeah. That was great. Because Larry Hartzell was more. He was doing more grappling at the time, right?
Grappler.
Yeah,
big
more grappling. Yeah.
He called me big guy. I said, "Oh, you're the big guy."
Yeah. Not to deviate a little bit, but when you hear of Concepts and JK the Original, I know when I saw JK the Original versus Concepts, and when Ted Wong came out and hit the scene, and I know you met Ted Wong as well, and he was claiming he was teaching, the original stuff Bruce was teaching him back in the late 60s, early 70s before he passed, right?
The June Fon stuff.
The June Fon, and he kept it true to what Bruce was teaching at that time.
The June Fon stuff started when Bruce came to America and he went to Seattle.
Yeah.
Like that first book right there, that's Jesse Glover's book. This is a very expensive book.
That's a great book.
This is like the first batch that he made. It has the frame, spiral frame and all that. And he signed it for me. He signed it for me. Right here.
Look at that.
To Tony Santiago. This is when I met him.
Glover. Wow, look at that.
And then I signed it for my son because I'm going to leave this for my son. And I mean, this is still expensive
Passing
the way it
things
is.
down, man. Yeah, I have the one without the spiral though, and it's just the square back. I think that came out second. So this is like the first printing.
The first batch.
And these are a couple $100 now.
Yeah.
These are really hard to get.
Yeah.
These books, Bruce Lee, and this is all on his early stages of.
But what was fun was the way I met Jesse Glover. I was looking for videos because now the video scene came out.
Yeah.
And I wanted to learn from videos and books because I couldn't still get to see the masters, and I was still training with Neil Collins at the school.
Yeah.
So I had all that blending, with the videos, the school, the books, and Dragon Video came out.
Yeah.
George Tan. I was like, who is this guy? He's got a ton of stuff here. And then he also put out that he was going to have Jesse Glover coming to do a little seminar. So I signed up right away. When I got there.
Now, what year was that? 80s?
No, that was the 90s.
90s now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when I got there, I got to meet Jesse, and I asked him, because he had the mitt that Bruce Lee used to hit on. It was a catcher's mitt.
Yep.
And what they did was they filled it up with a lot of cotton.
Yep.
And made it really straight, but you could still fit your hand in there and hold it. So I held it. I said, can you show me what Bruce was doing with the punches? So I held it in my chest, and when he hit me, it was like getting hit by Bruce.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I felt my whole gut just wanted to drop out of me.
Yeah.
He is hard.
Wow.
And he used to crack me on the head every once in a while because he hated to be called Sifu.
Yeah.
He didn't like being called Sifu. And
who has that mitt now? Do you know?
I think they have it in the museum in Hong Kong.
Is it in the museum now? Yeah, because I've seen that.
I think I've seen it
in a lot of places.
But he used to go with it to do seminars. He used to bring it.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa, I'm holding Bruce Lee's mitt.
Yeah.
And I did some training with Jesse. He showed me how to hit hard. And I still was working on my inch power.
Yeah.
That's when I finally I found a school in Wing Chun in Staten Island through my best friend, Michael Gonzalez. He was training there already, and I didn't know. So I went over there because we didn't do too much Wing Chun at the New York Martial Arts Academy. They only did the first form.
Yeah.
And really it was just a matter of just doing the form.
Yeah, because you were learning JKD concepts at the time, right? So that was a part of it, right?
Yeah,
of what
but they didn't show the actual, why we do the things.
Yeah.
But I started going to Staten Island on the weekends.
Now, who was teaching at that time? At the
Alan
Wing Chun School?
Fong.
Alan Fong
Was the 6th level. His wife was, I think, a 3rd or 4th level, but she was the #1 female fighter from the Lung Ting system.
Wow.
And Lung Ting trained Alan. Alan used to take the fights for Lung Ting. Every time Lung Ting got into a challenge, Alan Fong was the fighter.
Wow.
So I learned a ton of stuff from him.
I can imagine.
I came back to the school and my Sifu Neil got upset at me one day because I hit this guy with an inch punch and he hit the wall. And all of Sifu's, collections of pictures and stuff that he had hanging fell to the ground. And I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
He says, is that Tony Santiago out there? Yeah, I got in trouble.
Yeah, we have to do an episode just on the 1-inch punch in itself, probably after this one, because I want you to demonstrate that and how to perform it.
Oh, it's fun.
I heard
Dan hit me 8 different ways with that.
the 1-inch punch.
I held the phone book, and Sifu Neil tells me, Tony, are you sure you want to do this? It's going to hurt.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, I want to feel this because I want to know how the inch power is. So I held the phone book, and he came. And the first he says, okay, I'm going to penetrate it this much. And he went, boom. And I felt it go into there. He says, now I'm going to go halfway through the phone book, boom. He says, now I'm going to go behind the phone book. And when he hit me like that, I jumped back and hit the wall like 5 feet. Boom.
Oh.
Hit the wall. I was like,
oh, well, I heard you have a pretty proficient 1-inch punch, so we're going to do a whole episode on that to show people how to perform
It took me 6 months to learn it.
Yeah.
And it's taken me a lifetime
to perfect it.
To master
it.
I hear you.
So, Tony, you did the JKD concepts.
Concepts, right.
And then you kind of went over to the Oakland JKD. So how did that occur? Tell me
what happened was, I got to a point at this school where I said, I want to reach out to some of the other students that Bruce had. So I found out about a gentleman named Gary Dill down in Oklahoma. So I said, well, let me write to him and then let me send him a footage of me doing the Bill G form and doing techniques with my students and fighting my students. And he sent me a letter back and he said, if you want to join us, join us. So
yes.
I said, wow, I'm getting deeper into Jeet Kune Do now because this is the Oakland stage.
Now, where was he at the time?
He's in Oklahoma.
He was in Oklahoma,
yeah.
Okay.
So I took a flight, went down there. No, I met him first over here. He said, I'm going to be in Washington, D.C. doing a seminar. If you want to meet me there, meet me there. So I went. And I was the only guy there with peach pants on, okay? He says...
And what year was this?
This was, it's still in the 90s.
Still in the 90s, okay.
93. Yeah, 92.
Okay.
Because he wound up putting me in the World Martial Arts Hall of Fame, Gary Dill. I was shocked.
Yeah.
He called me at home. He says, Tony, are you sitting down? I said, yeah. He says, well, guess what? I said, what's up, Sifu? He says, I'm putting you into the World Martial Arts Hall of Fame for being the JKD Instructor of the Year. I said, what? So I had to fly there to Cleveland, Ohio, and that's where I got this big award, and Gary was there, and he was telling me to go out there and show the people the Oakland JKD and all this. The Oakland JKD is where, Jeet Kune Do came from Oakland. It was in the beginning stages.
Yep.
By the time Bruce got to LA, it was already Jeet Kune Do.
Right.
But
they say he developed that like 67.
Well, he developed that after the fight with Wong Jack Man.
And that was, probably in the late 60s, right? Yeah.
It was like 65, 66 when he started working on that.
Yeah.
And he got really involved in it because after the fight with Wong Jack Man, he said it took too long. He had to run after this guy, so I
heard he was chasing him with the straight punch.
Well, he was doing the chain punch.
Yeah, the chain punch.
And the only time you use that in Wing Chun is when you got him against the wall.
Yeah,
because they can't run.
But he ran after him with it, right?
Because he was running. He was running. Bruce's school had a dip. It was like a down floor where you walk in, you have to step down. So when they came in, James, of course, locked the door. And this is the way I was told the story by Leo Fong.
Okay.
Now, Leo Fong told me that Bruce called Leo Fong after the fight. Now, Leo Fong called me at home. I'm like, who's this? This is Leo Fong. I said, Leo Fong? I said, oh my God. It's like, and he tells me, oh, Tony, I love the way you sing. And he says, I want to tell you the story of what really happened with the Wong Jack Man fight. So he starts telling me about the fight. He says, yeah, he had a door that you could go in through, go around, and come out the other door. So this is what Wong Jack Man was doing. When he seen that Bruce, the first thing he did was throw a BG at him.
To his eyes, right? Yeah.
He was like, whoa, he turned around.
Because he wasn't holding anything back at that time.
No,
right?
he started throwing stuff
Yeah.
at Bruce, and Bruce just came out with a BG. And as soon as he did that, he started running because he didn't want to get killed. And Bruce just kept running behind him, banging his head like this in the back of his head.
Yeah.
And he was hurting his knuckles, so his knuckles weren't that developed yet.
Yeah.
And he was going like this and ran around. This is what Leo Fong is telling me.
Was he there or did he hear this from someone?
No, Leo Fong, Bruce called him after the fight.
After the fight.
Yeah.
And this is how Bruce explained it to him.
Yeah. He said he kept running, and then all of a sudden, you know, he tried to climb up on the floor,
and
he tripped and fell. When he fell, Bruce took advantage of it, jumped on top of him, and started bang, bang, bang in his face. Do you give up?
He said,
do you give up? Bang, bang.
And he said, I give up. Right? Yeah.
So, you know, Bruce's wife was there, of course, pregnant with Brandon. And Leo Fong is telling me all this, and I'm like, oh my God, you know, here I am talking to Leo Fong.
And he heard it firsthand from Bruce.
Yeah. You know, so it's like,
wow, it's amazing.
You know, he became really, really close to me. I love him a lot because Leo is into God, and he's a preacher. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know, it's like heaven sent.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. But that's when Bruce realized that he needed to work on his cardio, right? Because he got really winded.
Well, he told me what he told Bruce. He said, well, look, Bruce, that Wing Chun is really good, but you should add some boxing to it, man, because the boxing is what you really need, you know? Mm-hmm. Because once you're in close, that's your domain. You know, you're trapping, that's Wing Chun. But before you get in there, get him at that punching range, you know? And Bruce started thinking, that's when, you know, he started developing the 5 ways of attack and all that. And I was like, okay, so I got to train with Leo too, which was fun. I think Hector was there. Hector, you came to that seminar with Leo Fong and Tommy Crothers.
I was there.
Well,
and I took pictures with Tommy Crothers. Tommy, at first when I met Tommy, he didn't want to even take a picture with nobody.
Yeah.
Leo said, hey, Tommy, get over here. Take a picture with Tony over here and me. And Tommy said, yes, sir. He came over and took a picture with us.
He's pretty proficient, that guy, Tommy Crothers.
He's fast.
I've seen some video of him on YouTube. He's
real
incredible.
fast.
Yeah, real fast.
I've never seen speed like that.
No, I haven't either.
And Jesse was fast too.
Yeah. Jesse was even impressed with Tommy Crothers. I heard.
He's like, that's Bruce Lee speed. That's what he used to say. But when I rolled Chisao with Jesse Glover. And
how was that?
What he does is he manipulates you, because that's what Bruce used to do to them. He would manipulate them and move them to an angle where he could crash in. Yeah. So what he was doing, we were rolling like this, and all of a sudden I felt him move me over.
Way,
you know? As soon as he moved me over, he's got the trap already.
Yeah, right there. Boom.
Right. So then he would come across with his elbow and come down on you like this with these back knuckles. And he did that to me. Crash right on the forehead. I was like, oh. He is hard. But it was fun training with him.
Yeah, he's incredible. I had the pleasure of doing some Chisao with him also at the Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee Memorial Banquet, and I rolled with him as well because I studied Wing Chun for a number of years, and he did the same thing to me. But he was crashing in to my slapping me on my chest, back, and I kept going, "What am I doing?"
Well, you know what it is?
I'm keeping it a fist away.
The elbow, as long as you have the elbow in, nothing can come in. Because look, if I'm like this, oops, there goes Bruce.
And then
if your elbow's out, right,
you can slap me in, right? So I must have had my elbow out.
Yeah. But if your elbow's in,
it diverts you off to the side.
See, and with the futsal, right, if you got tansao, if your tansao, if this is not facing me here and it's facing out there or facing here,
you're gonna get my inside chest.
But if it's facing me right here to where this shoulder is,
and I'm in the center line, right?
Look what happens now. Keep it right there. Now look what happens. I can't go in.
It pushes you out. Yeah. I hear you. Yeah. So Jesse, his energy was incredible, man. When I did the Chisao with him, I never felt anything like that, and I just kept thinking, man, if Jesse's this good, imagine how good Bruce is.
Well, he was telling me he was inventing a new way of fighting like using like praying mantis, but with the crab claws, Now, like crab claw, I can imagine just, grip. Because Bruce Lee used to use a lot of gripping. When he did the dummy, he would start off the dummy, then he'd come in and hit the dummy and then squeeze, So, can you imagine Jesse just clamping onto you? Oh, painful.
Yeah, he was incredible. So you had the privilege of training a little bit with Jesse.
Yeah, but while I was with Gary, I was learning what Bruce was doing with James in the
Lee.
garage, James Lee. And so Gary has, the book, that little red book that I showed you, that's the Holy Grail.
Yeah. From Oakland.
Yeah, from Oakland.
Yeah.
That was the books that all the students got.
Yep.
Gary had a stack of those. But then my great friend Felix Macias Jr. wound up making me a copy of his father's book with his autograph and his top and everything. And I'm like, oh my God, the Holy Grail.
I'll take some pictures of that. We'll interject it into the film. That's a great book. So you don't have an original, but you have a copy of the original
from his father.
Which they gave out back in
because his father trained with Bruce.
Yeah.
He trained with Bruce and he trained with James.
And that was the curriculum they were giving out to you, right? At that time.
You know what was really funny? What Jesse told me? He told me a story of when he went to meet James Lee. James Lee had a bag, a punching bag. It was filled with iron lead balls. Okay,
like BBs.
Big ones.
Big
ones. And
like marble size.
Jesse came in, and I think because I think James liked to drink, and so he was having a beer. And he, when Jesse asked him if he could train him, he says, "Well, if you can hit that bag as hard as you can, I'll let you train with me." This is Jesse telling me this. Now he went up first, and I think he had a can or something, or a beer or something, and he hit the thing. Right? He said, "If you can hit it harder than that, you could join the school." So Jesse said that he hit that thing and he thought he broke his hand.
Because all the metal balls that were in there.
He didn't know that it was full of metal balls in there. And I was like, oh my God. So he told me that story. It was funny. It was so funny.
That's crazy.
And even Ted had stories too. I mean, when I met Ted, he came to my room. Because I was staying with Paul Bax. Paul Bax didn't have a room, so I told Paul, I got 2 beds. You can stay with me.
Now, where was this at the time?
And this was in St. Louis.
Okay. Oh, you were all over the place.
Yeah, it was the first and last student seminar.
Yeah.
So Jesse was there.
Wow.
And Jesse had his room, and I had my room with Paul, and Ted Wong came straight over to hang out because Richard Torres was hanging out with us also. Now, Richard Torres is another friend of mine who I met.
Great. We did a couple episodes with Richard.
He gave me this. Richard Torres sent this to me, and I put it in a frame.
That's nice.
There's a beautiful card of Bruce Lee's membership card, and Richard wrote a letter on there for me. It says to Tony. I can't make it out.
Now, is this the original membership card?
I don't. When he sent it to me, I'm guessing is real. So
it looks real.
Because Richard sent this to me and I was shocked.
Here's the Kung Fu shirt.
And the first thing I did was take a picture with the top, a Kung Fu top that I had bought from Richard in white. And it had the Jeet Kune Do logo real nice on it,
Wow. And then he wrote, a little letter. I hope you like it. I included another gift. I think you like that too. I'm headed to Holland and Germany to teach some Jeet Kune Do seminars. I'll be back next Wednesday.
Oh my God.
And I'll give you a call then. Take care of your friend Richard Torres. And then you have the membership card here from that Bruce used to give out.
With Bruce's autograph underneath.
Yeah, underneath it. Wow, that's nice, man. That's beautiful.
I kept that in the frame. I said, Richard gave me this. This is beautiful. And when Richard went.
Stay tuned for part 2 as we continue our interview with Sifu Tony Santiago and learn how Bruce Lee's influence and inspiration leading him to study Wing Chun Kung Fu and Jeet Kune Do has changed his life forever. Coming soon.